Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it looks like Disney is not messing around. ABC News fired Terry Moran for talking about Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and all this jazz. Basically, he's probably told not to go there, and he went there. And
well, he did it like on a tweet, and they deleted it. But like Disney's not messing around anymore because they've already gotten sued by Trump once.
Yes.
And then they were even telling The View to knock the shit off. But this guy's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
He's been at ABC
Decades.
for years. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, yeah, they're not messing around because they don't want to shell out another, what was it, $15-16 million they had.
15, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm going to tell you, at some point in time, I got to wonder, would Disney sell off ABC News or ABC just to be rid of it so they don't have the liability? I don't know.
I don't know. Not as long as Iger's there, because it's Iger's. He came from there, so it's his baby. So I doubt he would, but somebody else might.
So let's we're gonna talk about this. It's not gonna be a super long video, just kind of like, wow, that escalated. Before you do any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
This video brought to you in part by Orcs or A-holes, because we know they all are. They're all A-holes.
Sorry,
every single one of those. Every single one of those green and gray bastards, they are not people. They're A-holes. So you can check this out on BackerKit. Go to badorcs.com. That's badorcs.com and support these little A-holes. So speaking of A-holes, so I'm sure that most of the anchors at ABC got the memo to shut up. And you know, we could have a conversation about freedom of speech. We can have that conversation.
Well, I was gonna say, because to me it's like, I get it, because you know he said it on his own personal thing, which was dumb. When you're in a position like that, you probably shouldn't say things. And I think you have a 5-10 year span of people being allowed to say whatever the hell they want, even when they shouldn't say it, and getting away with it. That makes them think that they're empowered to do it. That being said, I do know, when we had contracts signed, there was like non-disparagement, or there was clauses in it that you couldn't do things. There might be repercussions if you did things that would reflect poorly on whoever you signed with. Yeah. So, and apparently there was a clause, I'm guessing that it was in his professionalism clause or whatever, that he wasn't supposed to do that, which is, you know, I was always surprised back in comics when they were like, you know, mad because they were told they couldn't say stuff. And I'm like, that's normal. That's standard. Well, you should have known better.
Especially with Disney. I mean, even freelancing for Disney, different publishers I worked for as a freelancer for Disney, I had to sign paperwork that had a morality clause in it, that I wasn't going to do anything that was going to embarrass them, that I wasn't going to run at the mouth. I wasn't going to disparage them while I was working for them, because you don't bite the hand that feeds, right? So, and now it's interesting because they said basically he was at the end of his contract and they're choosing not to renew, but they're not being that nice about it, because normally, like a couple of years ago, they would have been like, well, you know, we wish him well, he's just stepping down from his role and we wish him well in his new adventures, and they would have tried to cover it up. They actually publicly said, we are shit canning him because of his mouth.
Because they're probably getting a lot of shit from it, but they've been trying to step it back, because after the George Stephanopoulos bullshit, and that cost him $15 million because he knew he was saying it wrong. They told him he was saying it wrong and he kept saying it anyway, because he was trying to, you know, sway narrative. And that cost the money. And then The View is getting told to knock this shit off and to stop being political and charging everything up. And then this guy goes and does this. And granted, he probably thought, it's on my own Twitter, I'm allowed. And he deleted it, but it had been seen. You can't, when you're somebody that's a public figure like that, and you have clauses like you are, and you're like a news person, you know, I'd say you can't do that. They've been getting away with it for years. So they probably figured it was fine now too, but it's not now. Disney's changed their stance.
So just to reiterate what he said on X, he was suspended Sunday after he posted a since deleted lengthy analysis that described Miller as a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. The post said Trump's hatred was only a means to an end, and that his end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. And press secretary said it was unhinged and unacceptable. And then this is how ABC responded. They said, we are at the end of our agreement with Terry Moran, and based on his recent post, which was a clear violation of ABC News policies, we have made the decision to not renew. At ABC News, we hold all of our reporters to the highest standards of objectivity, fairness, and professionalism.
They were serious?
And we remain committed to delivering straightforward, trusted journalism. They're afraid of getting sued again, right?
No, that's exactly what it is.
Iger needs a favor from Trump for his Abu Dhabi park.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's already they're used to being able to get away with this. The View is how long has the View been saying shit like that on camera? They've been flat out saying this shit, and now that Disney needs to play nice with the people in power, then they have you need to stop that.
Yeah, they were actually told to shut up, and they're like, well, we're not going to shut up. I'm like, you're not going to be around much longer.
They might shut up after this.
What's interesting, though, is we have all this stuff going on, and Whoopi Goldberg just announced that she's going in and she's going to be starting a women's sports network. And I'm like, is she going to bounce from The View and go do that?
Well, I liked what you said. She made a big deal how she has to work, guys. She needs to work. She needs her job. She needs to work, but she has enough money to co-finance a new women's sports league.
A whole network. It's like a whole network.
Oh, yeah, network. I'm one of you. I don't have any money either. I have to work. I'm so poor. We were like, bullshit, Whoopi.
Let me drop a couple million, on this thing.
Right. I think your definition and my definition of poor are two different definitions.
I'm surprised after that cupcake debacle or whatever that she didn't get her ass sued over that, because she could have destroyed that business.
But that's what I'm saying. They're used to getting away with it. And now that there's been financial repercussions for Disney, and now that Disney wants to make nice with the people they're all hating, we're seeing a flip.
Yeah, because I mean, this is only recent, like the last 10 years, that these journalists could pretty much say whatever they wanted to say with impunity. And before 2016, if you had somebody on, that was with CNN or whatever that was going on like this, carrying on like this in social media, they would have been probably terminated.
Yeah, I mean, they would have been. And the thing is, it's like they've got complacent in being allowed to do what they want and not having repercussions for it. But Disney can't allow that anymore. Like, they were coasting on that before, but as we've seen, because they all thought look at the debate, there was a whole issue there. And then we were up to the whole thing with the election that they all supposedly were so shocked it went the way it went because middle America is sick of their shit. And now they're like, oh, well, we better, straighten up our act. And then they're getting sued. They don't want to lose more money. They lost the plot. They're losing money.
Well, it's interesting. They said that they think that, one of these guys making $600,000 and $900,000 a year. They think that people at ABC were actually pissed because they're trying to rebuild the credibility of ABC News after the Stephanopoulos. I don't want to call him Snuffleupagus, but they think that ABC's hurting. They're trying to turn it around. I think they have a new president over there or whatever. And they said that they were pissed because they said he did a lot of damage. And, because that's the thing, like, these people don't think about it. Like, it's not just you. When you speak for an organization and you act like an asshole, or you just, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if he were a podcaster, he has his own podcast, he could say whatever the hell he wants to say.
Yeah, because you're saying you're based on opinions, right. And you're not presenting it as truth. And it's his opinion. But the thing is, he's at a position where he's at the big foreign correspondent or whatever.
For Nightline, yeah.
Yeah, he was a big correspondent for them. And he's considered like one of their news people. So when he says he gives his opinion, it's presenting as, he's known for being with ABC News. Oh, it must be true because he said it. And I'm not saying it's right or it's right that you can't have your own opinion, but it goes with the territory. You can have your opinion, just don't post it on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's it. When you're working for a corporate news outlet, and here's the thing, if they laid down the law and they said, look, guys, I'm sure everybody at ABC got a talking to after that lawsuit, including The View.
Well, they had lawyers around, so whenever they said something stupid, they had to do a
here's a card. This is what our lawyer said you can say. And if you're not comfortable with it, then you leave. You step down. And if it's a contract, I mean, it might have been that he already knew he didn't want to stay because he wouldn't be allowed to say what he wanted. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to renew his contract. But it's, when you work for a company like that and they tell you these are the rules if you want to collect a paycheck, in that regard, you waive your right to freedom of speech because you're taking that paycheck and they've got rules for that. And again, if you want to go out on your own and do it, that's fine. You can say whatever the hell you want to, but they're going to be like, yeah, okay, now you just cost us viewers and advertisers. Now we got to lay Joe off because this big advertiser pulled out because you couldn't keep your damn mouth shut. And that's what happens. I mean, we had policies like that. I worked at newspapers. Remember those? I worked at newspapers back in the day, and you weren't allowed to run at the mouth. You could get yourself in very big trouble. I mean, it's understood when you work for an organization like that, and a lot of times it's in your employment contract that you are basically waiving your right to your own freedom of speech because you're a correspondent for that publication. And I mean, sometimes it sucks. I've had to kill stories or whatever before because they're like, no, this is gonna piss off this person or that person or the advertiser or whatever. And again, if you want to truly have freedom of speech as a journalist or as a commentator or whatever, you're gonna have to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal.
Yeah.
And
even longtime people aren't immune. They didn't get rid of Stephanopoulos, but they gave him another contract. But I guarantee you don't know what's in that contract.
It's probably shut up.
I'm sure there's probably clauses. The reason he probably got a new contract was you can stay. You're going to sign a new contract. It's going to have clauses to, that you're liable for this shit next time. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And you're not guaranteed. And you've been there for years. You're going to get renewed, especially if in this the way it's going on now, if you're too political.
I think honestly, you want people to really think about what they say. You have individual journalists carry their own insurance. I talked about this before, and you would see people get in line pretty damn quick because then they're going to have to think, hey, if I say something, I might open myself up to litigation. And I'd be like, as the company, I'd be like, fine. If we get sued, you're going to share in the expenses of that lawsuit. Mm-hmm. And you have to carry insurance in case, professional liability insurance in case we get sued because we're not paying for your ass if you say something dumb.
Right.
That's how you handle it. And they would real quick because they think the company is just going to take care of everything. And this is especially these video game journalists.
Well, they have, I'm saying there's been a culture of you're allowed to say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
At these places.
And then the company has to pick up the pieces. And they got to pay the millions of dollars in damages or whatever. And I'd just be like, no, make them responsible in part for it. There you go. All right, we're going to wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.